guys, welcome back. And we're here. Karen's in the house. She's gonna.
I am.
Yep. And we're gonna be taking your calls and social media. I just want to let you know if there's anything that's related to medical things, just realize that we're not here to diagnose you. We're just basically going to give you educational information.
Tips.
Go to your doctor to get your diagnosis and your cures. We're just providing information,
Right.
general information to
That's
do
right.
research.
Do your homework.
Right? And then also, when you guys call in, just ask me a question because I can't do evaluations when you go through the blood tests and you have the background history. This is just meant to do quick questions, bam, and then that way we can go through the hundreds of callers that are waiting.
Right.
So we're going to just jump right in and go right to Ruth from Texas. I remember Ruth, I think, from a previous call. Hi,
There's
Ruth.
probably more than one
Hi, Jim.
Ruth in Texas.
How are you?
No, it's me. just the one Ruth in Texas.
Great.
First I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind doing a video on the rhabdomyolysis.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked and I didn't find one. So
Rhabdomyolysis?
that was
I think I'm going to let Karen talk about that today, but you want to share some words on that, Karen? Yeah, I think that's a really good idea because that's like all this damage to your muscles if you overtrain, and so I was talking to the wrong camera.
I mean, how do you treat it afterwards?
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Right.
My question today was about left shoulder pain, and I've watched your videos, and on the video it said that it could be pancreas or could be heart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to narrow that down? I mean, I've stopped eating the seeds and the nuts and stuff that could irritate the pancreas,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure how to. I mean, the shoulder still is. It's right at the shoulder blade and at the tip of the shoulder.
Okay.
Also, my tailbone is sore most of the time, and I've been using the tool right above my pelvic bone. I wasn't sure if I was doing that right or not.
Well, there's a couple things you can do. With the shoulder, a very simple thing to do would to press underneath the left rib cage and just massage in that area and see if that knocks out the pain. If it does not, then we know it's probably not related. If it does knock out the pain, then it could be you might be consuming too much peanut butter or nuts, which tend to aggravate the pancreas as well. Or it could be some other things as well. So anyway, if it doesn't knock out the pain like an instant type thing, then what you want to do is you want to work on the opposite side. So you can work on the front part of the shoulder right here. You can also work on the right scapula or the mirror image on the right side, because there could be damage within the shoulder itself from an old injury. So you just have to kind of like eliminate one by one. And then the second question you asked that just slipped me was
About the tool
Tailbone.
and the tailbone.
yeah, tailbone. Well,
See, I'm paying attention.
have you ever fell on your tailbone?
Oh gosh, when I was maybe 17.
Yeah. So
I fell on.
I have a video on how to deal with tailbone injuries. You have to watch it. And basically, you'll have someone do this on you. You'll massage the skull. Just tell me when to stop, Karen, right through.
Let's keep going.
You massage the occiput, which is the skull back here and the back through here. Because when you fall on the tailbone, bam, the force travels right up and it gets stuck in the back of the neck. So I've had people like have serious tailbone injuries, and then what happens is you unlock the top of the neck and the tailbone goes away because you actually create space in the spine. So search out the video on tailbone injury. Thanks, Ruth. All right. So let's go to Ann. She's been waiting for a bit. Washington State. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I'm 71 years old. I've been on keto and intermittent fasting since March, and I've lost a little weight. I'm not in a hurry, but I've lost a lot of inches. My question, I just had a bout with pneumonia, hospitalized for about 4 days, and of course the antibiotics and the steroids and all that I'm not in ketosis anymore, but I want to know the best way to get my gut flora back up. And also, my last labs, I have a lot of protein in my urine. And what can I do about that?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things that I would recommend just to research. There's something called cordyceps, and it is a fungus that lives in the Tibet area in the high altitudes, and you can get it as a supplement. It's called cordyceps. Yeah, and it's really good to support the lungs. It increases oxygen carrying capacity, and it's great to take after you had like a lung injury and that type of thing, or if you're doing type of intense training. I think with you, the protein in the urine is an indicator that there's definitely some issues with some damage in the kidneys. So you're going to have to really beef up the, not protein, but vegetables, like really have a lot more. Probably things like cruciferous kale shakes would be really good with some parsley, and start doing a lot of that with probably a little less than moderate amount of protein. And then the kidney will start to kind of come back. There's a really good remedy to kind of improve kidney function. It's IP6, so you can look it up. IP6, you can get that. And I think that can actually help you. Was there also one question that I didn't answer? There's one more in there that you mentioned?
I wasn't paying attention because I was reading all of these social media posts.
Okay, good.
I was pretty sure you had it all
I was just talking to
handled.
Ann.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead,
The
Ann.
best way to build up my gut flora
Yes,
again.
yes,
from all
that's
the-
right. Yes, and you need something called effective microbes, and you can do a search online. I don't really have any brand names, but it's called Effective Microbes, EM. It's a liquid, it's a non-dairy, and you put it in some water before you go to bed, drink it, boom. It actually is really good to build up all your flora, and that's really going to help your immune system big time. Okay, Effective Microbes. All right, Karen, we're going to go to you. What kind of interesting questions do we have?
Okay, well, first, of course, there's the shout out, and we have people from South Africa and Vietnam and Japan and Italy and all over the United States. So this is awesome, yeah.
That's incredible.
And one guy said he was addicted to sugar and now he's addicted to you. So I guess there could be worse addictions, right? Okay, but on, what is this? This is Facebook. We have Jacqueline, who is asking about edema in her ankles and feet, especially during the summer. And she's lowered her salt. I don't know if that's the only action she's done, but why don't you talk about swollen ankles and legs and things?
Well, here's the thing. If you have swollen ankles in both ankles, it's probably, you just need to get on some hardcore keto, get off the sugar, because all that sugar retains fluid. But the main thing is a lot of potassium foods, like?
Kale.
Yes, and?
Broccoli.
Right, and vegetables
Any
in
leafy
general.
greens and vegetables in general.
Yeah, because that potassium will actually push out the fluid. That's what you're missing, but you need a lot of it. So that's why the electrolyte powder is really good. Don't be afraid to have some salt, like in the diet with the sea salt, but you want to beef up your potassium. Now, if the swelling, Karen, is in the left ankle.
Only.
Yeah. Then you might want to get your heart checked, because it could be the weakness in the heart that can cause that. If the swelling is in the right ankle, Karen,
Okay.
it's going to be possibly liver or the right kidney, in which case you'd want to support the liver.
Right.
There's specific videos on what to do for each one. That's just food for thought.
Okay, there you go. Now, Lorianne is asking, is there any more news on the summit?
Okay, Lori, here's the thing.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'm very excited. I am going to release this today for sure.
And we'll tell you
I'm
more
almost
later.
positive. Yeah. But
We're almost positive.
like we're
We're
about ready to
almost
release
there.
it like a week ago, and all of a sudden, oh, we have one little glitch that we're working on. Glitches, we keep testing it. But
Yeah.
I'm excited because the date is going to be October.
And that's on a need-to-know basis.
13.
Oh, I thought we were saving some juicy stuff for the end.
They need to know the date.
Oh, okay. That's
13th and 14th.
13th and 14th.
And is it going to be beautiful?
Oh my gosh, it's
in
going to be
this
great.
area?
And you want to come in on the 12th.
Yeah, spend a
The evening
day.
of the 12th. Oh yeah, even a day. It's in National Harbor. It's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah,
There's
you're gonna
tons
love
of
it.
stuff to do.
In the fall?
There's tons of stuff to see. You can walk all over the place. You can
Is there anything
take
to
a-
visit, anything touristy?
It's Washington, D.C.
There is probably
There's
more
so
touristy
much.
things to do here than anywhere on the planet, I would imagine. Can you think of another thing? But of course, if you live here, you don't do that
Right.
until you move out.
Right. We need to do the bus tour.
The bus tour. We'll talk about that. How about that?
Okay. Encourage him to take the bus tour. We've never taken the bus tour.
Well, I need to get to Devin. She's been waiting for an hour.
Okay, Devin, tell him to take the bus tour.
Hi, Devin.
Hey, Dr. Berg, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. So I've been doing keto for a few months now, since about February, and intermittent fasting, and I've been doing mostly 2 meals, but recently I've graduated to 1 meal a day, and I was just a little confused on like the macros. You know, like I've kind of gone with about like 85 fat and then about 60 or so protein, and I just want, like, some days I have more protein, more fat, less protein, less fat. So I was just kind of wondering, like, are there any like ranges you want to stay in, or ranges to avoid, especially in like the protein area? Because I don't really know like what's too much and what's not enough for especially 1 meal a day. Right. And also I don't want to do too much fat, So
Right.
that's my question.
Okay, so do you still want to lose more weight?
I want to lose fat, not necessarily weight.
Okay. So then you're doing the right thing. You got your fat grams to 85. That's pretty good. I mean, you could try to lower them a little bit, like maybe get down to 60. But yeah, that is the correct thing to do, is to bring down the fat, because that forces your body to burn your own fat, not the dietary fat. Now, as far as the protein goes, I mean, I would, if you still want to lose weight, I would do about 8 ounces if you're doing 1 meal a day. If you go less, you may get tired. You may potentially feel kind of weaker, because your body needs a bit of protein to satisfy certain body tissues. So if you start losing your hair, for example, you need to increase a little bit more protein. Especially, sometimes people just don't consume enough protein. They have like just a tiny little bit every other day, and that's not enough. So look at that. But I would do 8 ounces of protein, and then I would cut your fat down to 60 grams. And I think you should be fine. Then the other thing is to start bringing your carbs down. Of course, you can bring your vegetables up, because there's hardly any calories in that. And I know, Devin, I've been telling you this for a while, but this macro calculator is being thoroughly tested one more time before I release it. So just stay tuned for that. All right, Marie from Connecticut. It's been waiting 1 hour. Go ahead, Marie. You had a question about young children.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Berg
Good morning.
and Karen.
Hi.
I have a 6 and a 10-year-old, and I was told, since they don't eat a lot of dairy, they do eat cheese. Their calcium requirements about 1,000 milligrams a day, and to give them Tums 3 times a day. And I just thought that was going to kind of counteract what I had heard you saying about the acidity in the stomach, and so that was kind of like my first question. And my second thing was, would you ever consider doing a children's line of products with smaller pills and things that are easier to get into these kids? Because I'm struggling with it, and I'm losing the battle, but I'm still fighting. They're not big chocolate eaters, so the treats don't really transfer to them. They like candy. There's not many candy things to make, so I struggled, and I was just curious if you would ever do a children's line.
Yeah. Probably at this point, no, but what you can do is you can use some of the powders, and have like the wheatgrass juice powder, mix it with the electrolyte powder, and just have a little bit in a drink, and put the trace minerals in there as well. And also with the B vitamins, you can crush those tablets up and then put in a powder. So that's one way to actually cope with that right now. But as far as your kids with the candy, you can get just sugar-free candy.
What about making a fat bomb and putting like the B vitamins inside the fat bomb?
I think that's a great idea.
Whatever flavor they like, if they don't like chocolate.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing with Tums. Where did you hear this data about the Tums?
I was told to do this by a doctor, because they don't eat a lot of dairy.
Gosh, let me just give you my viewpoint on that. Tums is calcium carbonate. Okay, that's like limestone. You can pretty much chew in the side of the cement outside of a building and get the kind of the same thing. It's just plaster. So for someone to take Tums for their calcium, what that's going to do, it's going to really neutralize all the stomach acid and really throw off the digestion and then lead to a whole bunch of problems with an inability to digest protein, absorb minerals, and kill microbes. So no, you do not want to get your calcium from Tums. It's an antacid. It's a medication. You want to get your calcium from dairy. Now for kids, if you want a really good dairy, it's called, or a good calcium supplement, which I'm not opposed to, recommending this for kids. It's calcium lactate. Okay, calcium lactate. You can get that in a supplement. It's great for kids. You can get it in a powder. I think that would be the best thing. In fact, small children respond very well to calcium for just about everything, like from a fever to some type of cold. You give them a little calcium, and boom. We used to do that all the time, right? Just wipe it out real fast. All right. Thanks, Marie. Okay, Karen. So what do we got?
Okay, so someone is wanting you to address Crohn's and the GI inflammation.
I think the best thing for an inflammatory condition, Crohn's, is you must absolutely avoid grains, okay? Because that's like the culprit. It's going to tear up your gut. And then get on the keto, of course. That's an obvious thing. But the most important thing is intermittent fasting. Because when you do intermittent fasting, you bring down, in a major way, inflammation more than any other thing you can do. And when you bring inflammation down, then it can actually heal. And plus, every time you stick in food, you kind of you aggravate the digestive system. So you want to go 2 meals, maybe 1 meal, and that's what I would recommend for Crohn's.
Good.
Okay? I think it's time for a question for the audience, Karen.
Okay.
So okay, so you guys need to answer this.
Okay.
And what are the 2 fuels that feed cancer? So type that in if you guys know. There's 2 fuels. And if you get this right,
I know the answer to this.
you know the answer.
Because I live with Dr. Berg.
Zip it. Yeah. So see if you guys can get that correct. And then do you have another question?
Oh,
Probably
okay.
have thousands.
Well, I have thousands of questions that they're flying by. Okay, how about so somebody did a fast, a 48-hour fast, and when they ate their first meal after the fast, they got hit with extreme fatigue, even anxiety, felt really, really crappy. Why would that be?
I mean, right when they ate?
Yeah, when they went back to eating after their long fast.
Well, here's what happens. So you put someone on intermittent fasting and they stop eating and they start feeling better because what happens is you lower the insulin, okay? So the insulin starts coming down. It's like, oh, wow, thank you. But then what happens is every time you eat, you're going to spike insulin. So what's probably happening is their bodies are starting to heal with a lower amount of insulin, and then you eat and you kind of spike it. There are various symptoms of high insulin, like you might feel nauseousness or feel kind of fatigue or feel kind of like your system's not quite settling. And plus, when you do intermittent fasting, a lot of times people will eat foods that are kind of heavy in fats, a little bit more nuts or more keto bombs, which can then because what happens is oh my gosh, they go, oh, I'm not going to eat for this many hours. I better really stuff myself, and then they kind of feel kind of sick from that. So you just want to eat a regular meal, not crazy over the top, unless you're doing 1 meal a day and you can handle it. But I think that's probably going to go away as you adjust the different quantities of different things. Okay, Karen?
Okay, good.
All right. So now I need to go to Trevor. He's been waiting for 1 hour and 12 minutes. You're from Charlotte, North Carolina. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
I've been doing keto for about 13 months, and I've lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
And for 30 years, I was on high blood pressure medication. And
Wow.
2 months into keto, I was able to come off of it.
Amazing.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And even when I was 17 till I was about 35, I was in great shape, but I was on a high carbohydrate diet.
Yeah.
My question is about cholesterol. About 4 weeks ago, I got blood work done. If I can give you the numbers,
Real fast.
my total cholesterol was 406.
Mhm.
HDL was 68. LDL is 323,
Mhm.
and triglycerides is 77.
Okay.
Now, I've saw your video on high cholesterol, but I still can't wrap my head around these high numbers.
Yeah.
And my doctor wanted to put me on a statin, but I refused it. I told him I was going to
So I have a question.
keto on.
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. Are you doing intermittent fasting?
Yes,
Okay.
2 meals a day.
3 meals a day?
2.
2, okay. Give me a really rough example of what your meal looks like, real fast.
Breakfast is 4 eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, and maybe an avocado.
Okay.
For dinner, it's a huge salad, maybe 7 or 8 cups
Okay.
with a steak and a burger.
Okay.
It's usually what I eat.
Okay. So there's a video interview that I did with a guy by the name of Dave Feldman, okay? Watch that one on cholesterol, because this guy is he's a software engineer, but he's very logical. He's awesome. He's doing like a huge experiment on himself. He made some really big discoveries with this whole cholesterol thing, because when you do keto and intermittent fasting, you're going to have a higher amount of cholesterol, but not for a bad reason. The cholesterol is coming out of the fat. So there are some specific indicators that you really want to focus on more than others. For example, you want your triglycerides lower, which yours are pretty good, and then you want higher HDLs, which yours aren't terribly out of range. So that's like the most important thing. But your cholesterol is 323. That's kind of not that important, because if you think about it, as your body heals, you're going to mobilize a lot of fat. And in the fat cell, you have cholesterol, triglycerides, and all sorts of things. So I think what you need is you need a better understanding of how cholesterol works to make you feel better. Because when you really understand it, you're going to like, wow, this is not a problem. It's just a natural thing as you're going through this. Especially when you start to get to a point where you lost all the weight. Now there's not much more to lose, and you're just maintaining it. We're going to be covering this extensively at the summit. Mm-hmm. So, and Dave Feldman is going to be there as well, but we're going to make it really simple to understand. I'll do some more videos on that too. Okay, Trevor? And also, choline is a good thing to take too to help balance cholesterol. All right, Karen, what do we got in the house here?
In terms of the answer to the question?
In terms of the answer to the question, yes.
You forgot about the question.
You have to guide me. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is impressive. Everybody understands sugar.
Wow.
Everybody
Good
gets
job.
that. So they're definitely paying attention. And then surprisingly, well, you have other things like stress and hormones that people are saying, but a good percentage of people here, I don't know if you're Googling or you just watched a video.
I just released the video.
Right, are saying sugar and glutamine.
That is correct.
Oh, drum roll.
We got the drum roll, the post-drum roll.
The drum roll after the answer.
That's correct. So cancer lives on 2 fuels, keto and glutamine. I just released a video.
Keto?
I'm sorry, sugar.
That's why you
and
got
glutamine.
me, babe.
That's right. Sugar and glutamine. And here's the thing. Glutamine is a natural, abundant amino acid. It's not essential, but it's something that's in our bloods and our body uses it. And I'm not saying don't start consuming glutamine. I'm just saying if you have damaged mitochondria, you don't want to take glutamine as an extra supplement. You want to do intermittent fasting. Watch the recent video I did, the layperson's version of Professor Thomas Seyfried's interview that I did. This is the most incredible interview that I've ever done. It's mind-blowing. You got to get through it. It's 40 minutes, but it's very powerful, valuable data. Amazing. It's revolutionary. So you need to watch that, guys. I'll be talking more about that as well. Okay, so.
Take a breath.
Where are we going here? Let's see, we have...
Got a phone call.
Oh, yes, we do. We have
Pina.
Pina from Montreal. Go ahead. You had a question.
Hi, Dr. Berg. It's Pina.
Hi, Pina.
How are you?
I'm doing great. What's your question?
Good. I love your show. My husband watches you all the time, and I do too.
Awesome. Thanks.
And he lost a lot of weight because of you.
Oh, that's great.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, he's doing intermittent fasting.
That's awesome. What question do you have
He's
today?
going to send you pictures of it. My question is, I've been having pains for the past 6 months on the right side. They say I have a fatty liver, but the pain is always there in back of the rib here. I don't know what it is, and I can't take it anymore.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things you can do. You know, number one, we could remove the liver and just get it out of there because there's an extra organ and we really didn't need that. Or better yet, what you might want to take is something called choline. Choline in a powder. Whatever it says on the dosage, double it, put in some water, drink it down. Probably put it with electrolyte powder to make it better. But I'm assuming that you're on the healthy ketosis plan and intermittent fasting because that's what you need to be. But with you need to lower your fats. You need to lower your fats, lower your nuts, because that's going to keep aggravating that area, and that's referred pain from the gallbladder. Okay? Very simple solution. Thanks, Pina. All right, what do we got?
Okay, so Julia wants to know how you feel about cheating just every once in a while to trick your body. Does it trick your body or reverse your metabolism? Is it for some people, not for other people? I know what you're going to say.
Does cheating trick your body?
Cheating, a cheat day in keto.
Does it trick your body?
Does it work in your marriage, a cheat day?
No, negatory.
Negatory.
Yeah. Does it trick your
trick
marriage
your
into
wife?
making it better? No.
No.
Yeah, the cheat day
Is a
only
myth.
just sets you back. It's not going to help. Now, let's just say that you have a hard time sticking to this 100%, which is very hard to believe because most people can do it 100%.
Right.
But let's just say you're having a hard time. The goal is to build up your health reserve so you have the flexibility to go off occasionally here and there because you have a health reserve sitting in the background that you can pull from.
So it's easier for you to get back into ketosis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
So if you have a situation where you're out to dinner or you're at a wedding or there's some situation like that and it's a conscious decision. It's not I can't control myself, but it's a conscious decision that you are so healthy that isn't going to cave you in and you're going to get sick and you're going to feel awful. And then the next day, you get back in your routine with keto, way of eating and intermittent fasting.
Very well said, Karen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey guys, stay tuned. We're going to tell you details about this Keto Summit coming up soon.
Okay.
After these short commercials. No, we're not going to do a commercial. I want to go to Bridget. She's been waiting. She's Southern California. You had a question about intermittent fasting, Bridget.
Hi, good morning to you both.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. I just started. I've been about 2 weeks on keto, and I did a fast the other day for a 24-hour period. My question, though, is how often do you do the fasting? Is it 1 day a week, 2 days a week? Do you do it for a full week out of every month? And how do you know when you've gone too far and you need to refuel your body?
Good question.
I can answer that.
Karen could pretty much answer that. I'll just add my 2 cents in if you want to add to it. There's a lot of different ways you can do fasting. It really depends on your goals. Let's say, for example, you don't have very many health problems. You don't have a weight problem. Your whole life you've been eating good foods. Then maybe you can do fasting a couple times a week. But if you're like most people, you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to solve a problem, I'm going to recommend doing fasting every single day. Every single day.
No, she's talking about a 24-hour fast.
Oh, a 24-hour fast. Well, I think that could be done a few times a week. I think that's smart. I think
Some
that's
people
really
do
good.
it every other day.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's kind of like there's no set pattern. You just have to think with it, try it out, see how your body responds because there's really no way of telling. And like some people will do longer fasts and they're not quite ready for it, and they might get a little bit tired and they might not be able to adapt. So you want to kind of ease into it and just see how you feel, because if you're going too long and you're not feeling great, then that means that you need to maybe slow down a little bit and do it a little bit slower, because you don't want to feel exhausted and tired if you're doing this for any period of time.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my answer, but good question. So did you want to ask me about anything that I've been studying recently that's interesting?
No. So what have you been studying recently that's interesting?
Oh, glad you asked. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm studying about this fascinating thing in our cells. Did you realize, Karen, that our cells, basically the DNA, have over 10,000 errors every single day?
I did know that because we've already had this conversation.
That's incredible. That's all
But
these
it is
errors.
incredible.
Isn't it fascinating?
And tell them about the quality control.
What's even more fascinating is your cells have a repair unit, a team of repair guys that can go in there. And what happens, the DNA is a software. It's code. It's like the words in a book. And it's like it tells you what the cell's supposed to do. Well, what's fascinating is that you have the repair unit that scans the code before it's sent into the cell. It scans it, looking for errors. Now, Karen, I don't know how they know what an error is versus something normal, but obviously they have the correct code and they're comparing things as they're going real fast, and they're looking for errors. And if they find an error, they will snip it out and either fuse the chain back or they will replace it. Then, Karen, there's another secondary team that comes behind the primary team and double checks for grammar and errors as well. I mean, it's just like mind-blowing. Like how they can find this out and then eliminate errors, because if the errors are there, then you get what's called mutations, which is damaged genes, which then lead to cancer and disease. So the errors come from radiation, chemicals, environment, stress, you name it. So our body has a way of cleaning that all up and then recycling the damaged proteins. And then it's so accurate that your errors then go down to 1 out of a billion. So it's like almost error-free.
If you're healthy or?
Yeah, if you're healthy. But as you age, you get more errors and things slip through the grapevine. And see, this is the reason, Karen, why people need to think twice before consuming a donut.
Think before they eat?
Think before they eat. That's my motto.
Think before you eat.
Because, I mean, when you really,
We'll get t-shirts.
Fascination of this mechanism that's going in there. And I don't know, like, do they have scissors? How do they cut? How do they fuse? What kind of glue? What kind of glue do they use? This is like amazing. It's an entire universe.
It's amazing.
So you just need to eat healthy because you need those raw materials. So I think that'll help people not eat too many donuts.
Okay.
All right. On that note, we're going to go to Dennis from Los Angeles. You had a question, Dennis. Go ahead.
Yes, I discovered the intermittent fasting 4 years ago, and I was promised I would lose 3.5% of my body weight, and I lost 8% in the 6 weeks that it was applied, and then thereafter I lost another 12% for a total of 20% of my body weight over an 18-month period, and kept that off for a while. But that was before I discovered you and keto. And since then, you've interviewed Dr. Jason Fong, and so now I'm using a 36-hour period fasting, followed by 1 day of 23 or 24 hours of fasting, and that's been very helpful. But I am trying to overcome diabetes 2 still, and I am still overcoming injuries and wounds and things like that.
I think you're on the right track, Dennis, and I think it's very, very therapeutic to do intermittent fasting, especially if you're a diabetic, because you're going to bring insulin down, you're going to help heal the system. I think now it's probably going to be a matter of what you eat and the quality of food that you eat. You want to definitely realize that if there's any inflammation, there's something called oxidative stress. And so we need a lot of high-end antioxidant type foods, all the raw, like kale, blended kale shakes, that would be awesome. Anything like a lot of raw vegetation, like that's going to be very, very vital to get those antioxidants, and probably supplement with various things that will improve that coumarin. What is it?
Coumarin.
No, not coumarin.
Oh.
There's
Coumadin?
no, turmeric is a great powder. Yeah.
Sounds like 2 syllables.
Yeah. So there's different things that you can take. Grapeseed extract, but I would recommend this one great natural remedy. It's called IP6. It's a phytic acid, and it's one of the most powerful antioxidants to help just repair tissue damage, especially if you have a chronic thing you're trying to resolve. Because realize that even cancer tends to invade areas of inflammation and old injury. So anything you could do to increase the antioxidant levels of the body, and I'm not talking about buying a low-end, cheap, like vitamin C or vitamin E. You want the higher-end food-based ones. Coenzyme Q10, lipoic acid, vital. So that's what I would do if I were you. Thanks, Dennis. All right. April, you have a question. You're from Clear Lake, Texas.
Yes, I do.
Go. What's your question?
My question is, I'm trying to stay on ketosis and I'm fasting. The only thing for me is that during the day I get real fatigued to the point where I can't even do my sit-ups. For my abs, I got bloating in my belly, and I don't have a gallbladder. And the bad thing is I am addicted to Red Bull. I am down to like a fourth of Red Bull. I don't drink it at all, as to where when I was younger, I'm in my 30s, mid-30s. When I was younger, I would take 3 Red Bulls a day. I don't know how I'm alive, but thank God.
Well, I have an idea.
But
I have an idea. Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down right now? Okay. So I think
I'm actually, yes.
Okay. So obviously your body's craving something that's kind of trying to give you more energy, and you need a substitute, not to go cold turkey, but something that will replace it, that's similar. And what I would recommend is matcha tea, or maca tea, however you pronounce it. Matcha or maca, whatever. But that's what I would recommend, because that does have a small amount of caffeine, but you won't have the jittery, but it has all the nutrients as well. In addition to that, you could also get a green coffee powder, which also is kind of like a healthy coffee, which will then bring you up, make you feel really good, but without all the Red Bull other stuff that you shouldn't be consuming, because I think that's what's keeping you from hitting your goal.
Isn't there sugar in Red Bull?
There's a lot of sugar. The other thing is you don't have a gallbladder, so you need to find out where it is, get it back, and get it replaced, because they do have some spares now that you can get it replaced. But I would take a gallbladder formula to support the gallbladder that you don't have, to support the bile that you don't have, to kind of replace that. I think that'll help you. And I think that's the simplicity of it, April. Thanks for calling. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first I want to say that don't worry if you don't get your question answered, because the vast majority of the questions that are being asked here, there are videos for on YouTube, Dr. Berg channel. But I think there's one here you don't have a video on. Someone says they heard that seeds and nuts are not good for keto due to what they're calling phytates. I don't know if that's a typo.
Phytates? Phytates.
Right. It might
Phytates.
be a typo on their end, but that's what they wrote.
Yeah, no, seeds and nuts are good on keto. Yes, they do have phytates. Phytates are considered an anti-nutrient. They're a preservative. That's the thing that allows the seed to not sprout for 400 years. So you can have this seed that sits there dormant because you have this incredible thing that locks everything up. It's phytates or phytic acid. Same thing. So when I talked about the remedy earlier with IP6, I was talking about phytate. And there's a lot of confusion about that. Like people are like, oh, don't take that because it's an anti-nutrient, it's going to deplete your minerals. But actually, it's going to clear out all the excess bad metals that you have in your body, like especially iron, free iron and copper, which then causes cancer and things, which a lot of people have a problem. The only time I wouldn't recommend that is someone's anemic. But other than that, for the majority of the population, you will feel better. You're not going to lose all your minerals. You're not going to lose any bone mass. In fact, it will help your bone mass. The phytic acid that you get from seeds and nuts is going to be very small. If you germinate it, it's going to be even smaller. But it's a very powerful antioxidant that actually is something that you need. So I would not worry about it. Okay?
Okay, cool.
All right, good. All right, Karen, I have the second question. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
What is the most abundant trace mineral in your body? Not mineral, because the most abundant mineral is
potassium.
Calcium. But we're talking about the trace mineral.
The most abundant mineral is calcium.
Yeah, but the trace mineral is, go ahead and see if you get this one right.
Okay.
Okay? So as the answers are coming in, I just want to answer a question from May from Utah. You had a question. Go ahead, May.
Hello?
Hello. Hey, you had a question.
Hi. Yeah, so I had a question about H. pylori.
Yeah.
So back in, I think I got it like back in February. It was when I started having like the left, like shoulder, left area, like kind of like where the shoulder is.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like something's stuck there.
Got it. And you want to know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, usually in the shoulder, I know this might sound like kind of weird, but I've worked with a lot of people with shoulder pain. And most of them, which is very, very counterintuitive, don't have problems in the shoulder directly, but it's being referred from somewhere else. And the most common area is around the gallbladder area. And I'm not saying they have a gallstone. I'm just saying there's congestion or irritation in the gallbladder, probably because the diet's not perfect. So that refers pain through a nerve called the phrenic nerve that comes up on the right side, comes up through this third nerve in the neck, and that causes shoulder pain. So what you need to do is watch my videos on gallbladder and how to do some gentle massage in that area to see if you can help it, and also change your eating to healthy keto and intermittent fasting. That should do it. You might need some gallbladder support. It's called gallbladder formulae to help that, to get rid of that pain. It's just something I have observed, and it's pretty interesting. Okay? Thanks for calling. All right. What do we have as answers, Karen?
Okay. So the majority of the answers are potassium and magnesium separately. Nobody's saying both. And then I see iron and I see other things that aren't uranium.
Uranium.
Here's one. Cholesterol. Zinc came up.
Okay.
Should I go on?
I think that's good, Karen. I think that's good. So do you want to tell me what you think?
No.
Okay. So
hold on. Now we got to do the proper drum roll.
All right, here we go, guys. Ready for this? The most abundant trace mineral is iron.
Iron. Okay, so very few people. Sugar Plum said iron.
Yeah, iron.
Lou said iron.
Think about iron in the body, Karen.
Yeah.
Iron exists connected to a protein, like hemoglobin, that helps you carry oxygen. So we need iron as a trace mineral. Trace minerals are minerals needed in smaller amounts, not in mega amounts, but less than 100 milligrams. Very small. Sometimes in micrograms. But here's the thing, Karen. Too much iron in its free state. If you let these iron guys go free to create damage, they become free radicals. They're like out there creating damage. And that's really what destroys the cells, the mitochondria, you name it. And so iron, a lot of people have too much iron, and they get too much iron from the fortification from the grains.
Like
they enrich the grains.
Right.
The breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, things like that.
Right.
So, and also supplements they take, and I won't mention any names of supplements that have iron.
Right.
But you know what I'm talking about. Okay, the ones that are the main ones
you know
you
what
see
I'm talking about.
at GNC.
Right.
So when you look at the label and it's like iron, the different forms of iron, don't consume it because it's too much. It's not on the right thing. The whole thing when they introduced Popeye, the sailor man with the spinach, was based on incorrect information.
Wow.
Okay, I just want to let you know because when you start taking iron, like, oh, I'm going to take iron. Now you can take, organ meats, red meat, and get iron. Well, that's in a protein bound or liver. You're going to get iron, but you don't want to get it from a supplement. You don't want to get it because it creates a lot of damage for a lot of people. Iron tends to gravitate to areas of inflammation and damage, and it creates rusting out of your organs and things. So if you're concerned about this, you need to take the antidote to excess iron, which is the phytic acid. Phytic acid, which is IP3, connects with iron and it locks it up.
Seeds.
Yeah, and it's the only thing that will neutralize it. It's one of the only things that will kind of chelate it, pull it out, and get it out of the body. So make note of that.
Make note.
Yeah, it's behind. I mean, if you look under excess iron in Alzheimer's, for example, or excess iron in cancer, like you're going to see all this data that you're going to be like shocked. So, all right. And I got one more question coming up soon, but not right now because
not right now.
Yeah, we need to go to Della from Virginia, Charlottesville. You had a question. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg and Karen. How are you guys?
Hi, good.
Good. So thanks, first of all, for all the information you put out. My husband, the reason I'm calling, has been following your program and has lost over 60 pounds.
Wow, this is great.
The end of February. And the reason he had to do that was he needed a hip replacement, and they wouldn't operate on him until his BMI was at a certain level. So we had the surgery on Tuesday. He's doing great and still following the keto and everything. But I want to help him with his pain, and I've ordered a TENS unit. And I've been doing the massage things like you show in your videos, and I have the tool on his opposite. It was his left hip that was operated on, and so I've been doing those on his right. And my question is, number one, do you think a TENS is useful, and do you think doing that on the mirror side will help?
Okay, so a couple things about this. I want you to experiment with the TENS and put it on the good hip, and then put it on the bad hip just for a couple days and just see what's better. I think you're going to be quite shocked to see how he might actually feel better by putting the TENS on the good hip. Okay? Interesting. But the other thing is that when you do the massage on the opposite hip, for something like this, you have to go into all the supporting muscles. I'm talking like down his right thigh, all around to the side of the thigh, deeper into the lower abdomen, because you have muscles that raise the hip called the psoas that are deep right in the pelvis. You have to work on those. That's going to give him a lot of relief. Work on the glute on the right side. And I'm going to give you one more tip that's quite miraculous, and this is kind of like a great thing to do in a demo. So he had surgery on the left hip. When you walk, Karen, when you walk, the left hip follows the right shoulder. I mean, you should try to watch someone walk. They don't walk like this. They oppose each other. Okay, so they're on actually a circuit back and forth. You have electrical nerves that connect these two, and because the hip bone's connected to the shoulder bone.
Right.
So what happens if you actually, if it's the left hip had surgery, if he stretches the right shoulder, you stretch his right shoulder, or if he hangs from it, his hip pain will go away. Just try this. It works like magic. You can massage the right shoulder, the left hip goes away. Just try it. If you don't believe me, just try it. It works. Thanks, Stella. All right, so I want to just catch another call.
Go for it.
I do have another. Kelly from Toronto, you had a question about fat formation. Go ahead.
Yes, that's me. I'm wondering about why certain parts of people's bodies will get more fat laid down, like particularly the hips, but you also notice that with people's arms or their back. And I'm just wondering mostly about the hips.
Yeah, good question. That's why I wrote this book right here, Body Types. If you notice that people hold weight different places, so this would be a good book to read. Main reason why the hips are involved, you don't see very many men that are hippie because they don't have a lot of estrogen. So estrogen is the main dominating hormone that tends to give women their shape, especially weight more on the hips, thighs, and buttocks. So it's more of an estrogen dominant thing. So if you do a search for estrogen dominance and find out what foods to eat, it's in this book, that might help you as well. I do know that as far as exercise goes, you definitely need to do a lot of that over a period of time because sometimes the excess weight in the hips might look like fat, but it's a lot of atrophy. It's a loss of muscle tone that it's not really fat. So the diet won't actually do much to that. So you have to physically work out those muscles, make them stronger over a period of months to years, especially if you're menopausal, because those atrophy is like there's no more muscle left. So you have to kind of develop that, and it could take a while. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. All right. Thanks for your question.
You talking about me again?
I didn't say anything.
He's talking about me.
I did not say anything. I didn't even look over there. So do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me?
Look at his face.
What? I didn't say anything.
Okay. But the iron thing got a lot of other questions. The iron subject. So I'm going to ask you a couple of different things because I remember you telling me yesterday about women don't often have as many issues because of their menstrual cycle and they bleed and they actually get rid of iron.
Yeah.
So someone asked, I'm going to shoot a few of these at you. Someone asked if you donate blood, if you happen to have too much iron, if you donate blood, would that help that situation?
Very good idea.
Okay, and then what about using cast iron pans, which is a good question because I love cast iron.
Not a good idea. It's going to develop free iron. Iron needs to be bound to a protein. So it's free iron.
But my meat's dangerous. In the pan.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I really don't. I'm sorry.
Really
yeah, but the best chelator, or the best chelator is something that is a claw that connects to things. The best way to remove iron from the body, regardless, is IP6, which is phytic acid. You can get it in a supplement. It's the absolute best way to safely neutralize. Because, Karen, what happens, this iron combines with oxygen and it forms the most powerful oxidating rust agent on the planet Earth called the hydroxyl radical. So, and that thing is a total radical guy that goes around with massive destruction. Everything it connects into it destroys. So it goes in and destroys the cells, the mitochondria, and wreaks havoc. But you need free iron and or copper to turn into that. So that's why it's very dangerous to have too much iron.
You lost me a little bit there.
On what part?
In the part I went unconscious.
Which was?
Was you were saying something about the free radical, and before you said iron and copper.
Okay, so for example, you need these metals to make this radical. It's kind of like you need that with oxygen. So you combine oxygen, the metal, and then you get this radical thing that destroys everything.
Oh, you mean like you need to ingest?
You have to be exposed to it, yeah.
Be exposed to it. This is in a bad way, not you need it like
right.
It's a good thing.
No, it's a bad thing.
So you're exposed to these metals like cast iron. How would you be exposed to copper?
Oh, that's a whole other seminar. You can get copper in a lot of different things. So I'm going to actually do a video on that because I don't want, because we have a couple more questions. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
All right, so I want to go, before I answer this question, I want to ask the last question. This is a true or false question.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Can tumors or cancer live on ketones? True or false? Now I'm going to go to Janella from Florida. You had a question. Go ahead, Janella.
Oh, thanks. I started intermittent fasting about 3 weeks ago and keto only about 4 days ago. And I started implementing kale shakes. And I all of a sudden realized yesterday that every time I drank one of them, I would get so tired I could barely move. And I was just wondering how I can combat. Well, I did some more research yesterday and realized that I think it has to do with my hypothyroidism. And I was wondering how I could combat that, because I also have an ovary body type, and I know I need cruciferous vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, how do I get my cruciferous vegetables without feeling so tired?
Okay, so there's this thought out there when you consume cruciferous that you'll deplete your iodine and you'll get tired because the thyroid is involved and you won't make very many thyroid hormones. If that was true, you're not going to be tired right after eating. It would take a while for that to happen, so that's probably not the answer. In fact, if you really want to prove it to yourself, go ahead and take sea kelp, which is iodine, with the kale, and see if your energy goes up. It's probably going to go down the same way. So, but sea kelp is the way to counter the effect of cruciferous. The more likely solution is the inability to digest fully the fiber of those cruciferous foods. So what you might want to do is take a smaller amount and see if that's better, and start to take a good probiotic. And I would recommend the EM, effective microbes type probiotic, to start building up your flora, and start slow with your kale shake and gradually increase. And you might want to switch it up to other types of cruciferous, like arugula, for example, or broccoli, or Brussels sprouts instead of the kale. Because there's certain, like for example, if I consume cabbage, which is cruciferous, I will get serious stomach, no, not cabbage, broccoli. I will just, it'll tear up my stomach. Other people will do cabbage and they'll have a similar thing. So it really depends, you have to just test it out. I would just switch it up right now and just do small amounts. But it's really, it's more the microbes in your gut that's doing that, or a lack thereof. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your question. All right, what do we got as an answer, Karen? True or false?
The vast majority of people said false. What was the question?
Can tumors live on ketones?
Most people said false. There were some yeses.
Drum roll, please.
Trumpet roll.
Okay, the answer is you are correct. It is false. Tumors cannot live on ketones. Cancer cannot live on ketones. Only healthy cells can live on ketones. You know what that means, guys? That means that if you go on a keto eating plan program, then that means that you will feed cancer less. Okay, you'll starve them off, but remember you have the glutamine too. But anyway, you'll help improve the situation, especially as a preventative thing.
Right.
Right? Am I right or am I wrong?
I think you're right.
Okay, so the Keto Summit, okay? 13, 14, it's going to be at the Gaylord Hotel.
October,
I forgot that.
You forgot that.
I'm going to be sending out a video today to release this thing. You guys need to come. We have several speakers. Dr. Westman, who is a MD out of North Carolina, Duke. This guy's amazing. He basically helped Atkins do research. Then we have Jacqueline Eberstein, who also worked with, it was Atkins, who is his nurse, and now she flies over the world doing seminars, amazing. Dave Feldman, which is a software engineer, an outsider that can take complex subjects and make them really easy to understand. The guy's the master in cholesterol. Ivor Cummings from Ireland, who is amazing at helping people understand how keto works with blood sugars and the insulin and the liver. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. And we have the record holder for 100 miles. And
running.
Yes. No, hopping. Zach Bitter. Zach Bitter is going to be there. This guy is a keto intermittent fasting guy, knows a lot about it. I mean, he dominates the field. And so do a lot of other keto guys. So he's going to talk about what he eats and a lot of questions with exercise. You need to be there. And a lot of other surprises. What? Go ahead.
Okay.
What did I say?
No, you were great.
What?
No, we're just hopping from camera to camera.
Oh.
We need the red lights.
I got it.
Yeah.
So definitely hope you guys can come out. I want to finally, we want to put the face behind the share and the subscribe button. Okay, guys, have a great afternoon. We will see you next week, same time, same place.